Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryandam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sagana Vavadu, Sakana Punaktu, Sakapiriam Karabhavahai, Tejasvina Vadidamustamavat Vishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sarirasya Cha Vaityakena Yopakarotam Prabharam Muninam Patanjalim Pranjalim Anadosmi. Good morning. So we will take the next 4 sutras, which is now giving us the stages in which we gain mental tranquility. And we're going to learn about Samadhi. So let us just recite this once, and then we take the Padartham. Vitarka, Vichara, Ananta, Asmita, Rupa, Anugamat, Samprajnata.
Tarka, Vichara, Ananta, Smita, Rupa, Anugamat, Samprajnata.
Okay, I'll say word by word. Vitarka,
Tarka,
Vichara,
Vichara,
Ananta,
Ananda,
Asmita,
Asmita,
Rupa,
Rupa,
Anugamat,
Samprajnata. Samprajnata.
Vitarka Vichara Anandasmita Rupanugamat Samprajnata.
Tarka Vichara Rupanugamat Samprajnata.
Virama Pratyay Abhyasa Purvaha Samskara Anyaha. Virama Pratyabhyasa Purva Samskara Sesho Nyaha.
Virama Vyasa Purva Samskara Sesho Nyaha.
Bhava Pratyaya Videha Prakriti Layanam Bhava Pratyoya Videha Prakriti Layanam
Bhavat Pratyayo
Shraddha Virya Smriti Samadhi Prajna Purvaka Itaresham. Shraddha Virya Smriti Samadhi Prajna Purvaka Itaresham.
Shraddha Virya Smriti Samadhi Purvaka Itaresham.
Yeah, very good. So we have, just to recap where we are, I think we have spent 13 sessions before, and we can very quickly, in a one line, we are able to rephrase what we understood. So we asked Patanjali, what is it all about? And then he said, this is about yoga, Atha Yoganusashanam. The first sutra, he said, Atha Yoga Anusashanam. So we gone through the detailed meaning of that. Then we asked the question in our mind, what is this yoga? Then he said, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So the Lakshyartham, we saw the tranquility of the mind is the focus, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Then we had in our mind what happens to the person who attains that and what happens to the person who don't attain that. Then he said in the next sutras, Tada Drishtuhu Swarupe Avasthanam that one who attains the mental tranquility would be one with oneself. Therefore, we connected this. The lakshyam of yoga is therefore not to become something, but just to be ourselves. It looks very simple, but that is supposed to be the Parama Purushartha. Then he said, Vritti Sarupyam Idaratra. If you do not attain this, you will be like many personalities. You will be just swayed by your thoughts. So in the first 4 sutras, we understood the subject matter, we understood the purpose, we understood the benefit. Then we started asking, right, the control is on the vritti. What are these vritti? Then he said, vrittaya, panchataya, klishtaha, aklishtaha. He said, okay, now I'll tell you about vritti, which is thought modification. And they are of 2 kinds, klishtaha and aklishtaha. Thoughts that drive you through to suffering, thoughts that drive you through not to suffering. He did not say thoughts driving you to the happiness, because he's going to say happiness has nothing to do with the thoughts. Therefore, but he simply says thoughts that do not drive you to the trouble. So then we don't need a rocket science to learn this. If thoughts can give you trouble, we don't want them. Therefore, we are happy to control them. Therefore, the klishta thoughts we want to control, and aklishta thoughts we need to regulate. Then he said, okay, I understand klishta, but how do I identify these thoughts? Then he said, yes, there are 5 types of thought. Remember what they are? Pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smritaya. Pramana means the knowledge you get from your senses, that you think right knowledge. Viparyaya, suspicions, wrong knowledge, because wrong knowledge also creates thoughts. Then vikalpa, imaginative. There is nothing to see, but you imagine. That creates thought. Smriti, that whatever is stored in your mind, it brings it back. That creates thought. And then we also saw a very special case of nidra. Even a sleep is a thought, because it is giving you tamasic nature. So we know thoughts of 2 types, klishta, aklishta, and there are 5 categories. And then we gone through them, how to identify them. Then we said, okay, I know these thoughts now. I need to control them. Tell me how to control. So we went to the 3rd logical step, and Patanjali said, Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tan Nirodhaka. So you can see, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodhaka. That Nirodham, that's called Tan Nirodham. That Nirodham is achieved by Vairagya Abhyasa Abhyam. We saw this case. Abhyam means duality, dual. Vairagyam and Abhyasam. Abhyasam means practice. Vairagya means focused dispassion. Okay, then we gone through the detail of this, and then we spent, Abhyasa means that is continuous, nairantriyam, without gaps, coherent, with the right spirit, uchaham and sahasam and all that. So we said all energetic continuous practice is abhyasam. We learned that. Then we learned vairagya. And vairagyam is what we finished in the last session. Vairagyams of 2 types. Apara vairagyam and para vairagyam. Remember? It's a lot of thoughts, but I'm trying to summarize it. So just keep thinking about it so that it stays in your mind. Once you know the gist of it, you can ignore the technical terms. So apara vairagya means, apara here is generally lowered, but here it means a related vairagyam. Vairagyam on things that you see and sense and experience, the objects. We generally take vairagyam to be a kind of a, negative things, right? Aversion, hate, and giving it away. Therefore, we shun away from vairagyam. So vairagyam is something which you renunciate, throw it away. Now, here we take vairagyam to be a positive trait. Vairagyam is not hating anything, but choosing what is important to pursue our goal in life. In a way, it's called udasina. If you are doing something very important, if a child comes and nags you, you will gently push it away. I'll come back to you. You're not hating the child. That is not the time to divert your mind to that emotional attachment to the child. You will compensate it later. So there you use a momentary vairagyam, focused dispassion. But when you are taking this to a spiritual goal, which is the only purpose of living, to realize oneself, the scope of the vairagyam has to expand. So one of the important lessons that we should take, do not consider vairagyam to be a negative attribute. It's a very positive strength. You are able to prioritize and isolate things which are not important. For that, raga dvesham is very important. If I am listening to this lecture or attending a class, a phone comes in, a casual call from a friend of mine, do I attend it or not? If I don't attend it, I may wound him. Would I? I don't know. But here you need to have vairagyam. Because it may be initially difficult for the person that you did not pick up the phone. But after some time, when you understand that you are in a class, you are in a meditation, dhyanam, then he will start forming up an opinion about you that you are a person who would not give a toss when you are focused on your task. Even that momentary apprehension, aversion, disrespect in a way that he had on you will become a respect. And he will try to ape himself. This is a very important step. We normally give up because ajnanam, attachment, we wanted to be nice to everybody. Priyam is important, but satyam is more important. So vairagya, we saw about that. Therefore, the apara vairagyam is vairagyam on the worldly objects. And then when you attain the apara vairagyam, you are able to really focus on the atma jnanam. As a result, after disowning or disengaging with the Vishaya, what is left is yourself. Now you can be in any place, your senses don't control you, Vashikara, you are in control. You can be in a crowded place and still be very happy, meditative. But what happens is then you started becoming attached to your own ego, own mind, own higher nature. The upadhis that you have becomes very attached to. So therefore, the vairagyam now has to change. Well, I am okay with the external ones. Now I even disown my own self, my upadhis, my bodies, my mind. But the body-mind complex is basically the sukshma, the prakriti, the gunas. Therefore, I must have Pratishnayam. I need to really disown my gunas. I need to transcend myself. And when I am attaining that stage, it's called Paravairagya. So our focus is on Paravairagya. Paravairagya will come. So we saw up to that. Then he is going to jump into the next stage where what happens to the Vairagis? What do they achieve? They achieve Samadhi. Now, this is very important to understand because there are a lot of different views on it. A lot of different schools have got different views. And Samadhi becomes the goal and ultimate, and that's not right, at least according to Vedanta. So let us understand this. So to put this context, whatever I was just narrating so far as a summary, I want to give you a different twist to it. Yoga. What is yoga means? Generally, we know it is to connect, to join, merge. In Vedanta, we said to merging with oneself, to be one with the self. Is it not? Patanjali said the same thing. But Patanjali uses the word kaivalyam. Kaivalyam means not liberation. Kaivalyam means isolation, alone. So what he is saying is, when you reach the stage of kaivalyam, you alone exist. So if I alone exist, what about you? What about everybody else? I don't see them. That's not the meaning. It means I don't see you different than me. I don't see you different than me. How is it possible? Is it possible because in your body, for example, this body, it's your body, it's one body. There are 2 power 13 cellular forms are there. There are so many life forms, billions of life forms inside. They are all one. I am that person. Same with the Hiranyagarbha is one. So you become that person, cosmic person, Virat Purusha. You may be still 5 feet 8 inches sitting there, but your vision becomes so big. So therefore, joining is yoga. So there is no difference in different schools of thought. Truth is one. But then it gives you a bit of a problem logically, because if I need to join, what does it mean? I am currently not joined. Therefore, I must take me somewhere and then join into something which is there. So as a student of Vedanta, you will question everything. So if I'm going from here and joining, that means between me and what I'm joining to, there's a gap. There is a gap. What I'm joining to is not omnipresent. Then there is something in between. The supreme thing is which contains everything. Therefore, it is joining is not really the lakshyartham for it. There's nothing to join. That means the separation I therefore feel is not real. Therefore, this is called viyoga. So the feeling of separation, that I am different from you, because the separation Dvaitam causes all the samsara. Dvaitam causes a fear. Of course, Dvaitam is an opportunity to enjoy. But enjoyment and fear, grief are two sides of the same coin. Therefore, in yoga, what therefore we understand, we need to be one with the self. That means I must remove the separation from the matter. So Vedanta gives you one complete swipe. That's okay. Everything is Maya. So if you understand this Maya, you are Mukta. That's correct. But I cannot understand it. To understand something, you got to be out of that. If I am in a quicksand and drowning myself, literally how much I try, I can't come out. I need somebody outside to lift me up. So therefore, I need help who can lift me out of this. That's why we go to the gurus and sastras and pramanas. So the word yoga, therefore, has got so much, like dharma, so much of meaning. In the Bhagavad Gita, yoga is a literal meaning is chapter. Sankhya Yoga chapter. But also applies this. Sankhya means knowledge. With knowledge, you to be one with the self and perform the yoga. So the whole thing is about how do you separate from the Prakriti. So here in Sankhya, they are still a dualistic school of thought. They stop at the Purusha Prakriti duality. Therefore, they think if you remove from the Prakriti, you become Purusha. Sankhya decides infinite number of Purushas. Potentially bring down to Purusha to the Atma level, but he does not take you the step because he realizes that Advaitam is not taught. You can speak about it, but the moment you speak to somebody, it's Dvaitam, Visishta Dvaitam. So Advaitam is Anubhuti. So that's what it's pushing you towards. So then, therefore, we start with the simple baby steps. The separation is physically, but the physical part is only a representation of your mental part. Therefore, we go to the root cause. We look at the fetters of the mind, Vritti. I'm repeating what I said, but I said it differently to give you a context. But this fetters, the vrittis happen because of the oscillation of your thoughts, and they are forced by three things: your reasoning, your emotions, and your ego. Reasoning is your intellect, your buddhi. You read it, you ask questions, and it's bothering you. You create thoughts, or you see a thing, or you think of a thing which makes you sad, happy, love, shy, fearful. Emotions come in, creates thought. And these two are always entwined with this egoity that I do it, I. So these three vectors are making your thoughts fretter. And of course, the senses bring you all the objects. Therefore, what you learned so far can be seen from this chart that we are therefore going to control these three: reasoning, egoity, and emotions with some application of control. See, all this is applicable even for our worldly life. To be successful in life also we need this. We may use different words, positive thinking, all the team working, all stuff you do in the management studies, but essentially the same thing. So here we learned Abhyasa Vairagyam are the two things to control it. So far you have seen. So when we control it like this, what happens is the mind becomes a tranquil, the truth-bearing mind. I put these two different words there. A tranquil mind is a mind in which the vrittis have regulated. Remember, vritti nirodham is not destroying mind. You can't destroy the mind. And why should you destroy the mind? Why should you destroy the body? So Vivekananda says, exercise, build your body, build your mind. It's all gifts of God. There's no point in torturing your mind, not eating, struggling. No, you have to use these upadhis to convert. But you have to make it perfect. So when the mind is perfect, it is tranquil. But when you do this exercise, the Abhyasam Vairagyam, with the understanding of Atma Vichara, with a scriptural goal, Purushartham, the mind also bears the truth. You will have a question in your mind. Well, I don't know about Vedas. Maybe I'm not even born in the Sanatana Dharma. I'm in a different nationality. But I like this mind control. If I do all that, won't I get a tranquil mind? Yes, of course you will get a tranquil mind. You don't know anything about God. You don't believe in God. You don't have a scriptural understanding. You don't have the so-called spiritual Vedantic studies or goals. But you follow this mind control, Abhyasa, Vairagya path, you will have a tranquil mind. But here comes the trick. When the mind is tranquil, it automatically bears the truth, which you don't even aim for it. That is why, whether you pray to God or not to God, if you are a good person in your body, mind, and act, if you are a pure person, God is come knocking on your door. You don't need to go after him. He's coming after you. Like a polished mirror that will bear the truth. You didn't ask the mirror to show me everything 100% correctly. It will do correctly because there is no dirt. You see, therefore you have a double whammy there. So whether you believe it or not in God does not matter if you believe in you. In fact, I think it's Ramana or Shambhar, I think Ramana Bhagavan said that, you don't need to believe in God. Do you believe in you? Tell me a person, show me a person who does not believe that he exists. Everybody believes. So that if you believe in yourself, then you will have yoga. Now, so is it it? So I got a tranquil mind, that's it? That's not it. But that happens to you. But when that happens to you, the state that you are in is called Samadhi. Please do not think Samadhi means, somebody is dead and you make a ditch and then put them inside and close it. We use the term, and especially in Tamil, we use the term. That's also in a way tranquil because the person is there peacefully. But that's not what we mean here. Therefore, remove that thought completely. And also don't think Samadhi means you close your eyes, sit there unconsciously. Nothing is known, and you are there in a kind of a vegetated state. Well, that's also an appearance of a person in Samadhi, but that's not what you should think of. Therefore, what should I take of? Samadhi is a tranquil, truth-bearing mind. See, if I have to just close your eyes, sit there, and I have a wonderful personal experience and joy, and they call it Samadhi, that's fine. You can be there. But what happened then when I get up from this? If I am become the same usual, boring, evil person, what's the point? Might as well I sleep, If you sleep, when somebody is sleeping, he's not bad. Even a lion, when it is sleeping, it's beautiful. Ravana is sleeping fine. Kumbhakarna is sleeping fine. When you sleep, so same way, if you're in Samadhi, it's fine. But when you get up, then you become the same person. That is where the difference comes in. Therefore, Samadhi is not the end goal of yoga. Samadhi happens to us. When that happens to us, when you take it as a goal, many schools, even they say Samadhi Yoga, there are, if you go to internet or you go to the places like, holy places, a lot of schools teach you to attain Samadhi in 10 days or 40 days or whatever. That's not what we are talking about here. You get a lot of power because when the mind is tranquil and is truth-bearing, you get lots of power. So with that power, if you don't direct towards the yuj, to be one with the self, paravairagyam, then samadhi becomes an asamprigya samadhi, which you're going to see in a minute. Otherwise, very enumerates lots of benefits in the chapter 3. So in Tamil, there's a poem, Kanduga Madakkari Vasamai Nadattalam, Karadi Vempuli Vayim Kattalam, or Singa Mudhi Merkulalam, Katchavi Edattatalam. Now you can control the elephants, lions, you can walk on the fire, so all this happens. When you read all this scriptural text, for the agnostic person, it may look like a fiction. So be it. But it's awe-inspiring. When you go to science and you go to deep science, it's like a fiction. Truth is stranger than fiction. When you go to the 4th chapter and what do you attain when you do this moksha, kaivalya, when you pass through all this, Patanjali going to say that you will transcend the time and space. How can you transcend time and space? He says, when you are, see, the upper vairagyam, why are we having this vairagyam on everything else? Is to show that you are detached to the material evolutes. Everything is material evolutes, is it not? Panchikarana we saw in Vedanta, Panchabhutas, all the bodies came in. Here the Prakriti. So everything that's, the evolution is evolutes separate from this. Then in this thing that we are going to Ashtanga Yoga, we're going to see, we are going to find a way to move back into the cause. We say in Tattva Upanishad, we say, mind, speech goes into the mind goes into the Hridaya, Hridayam goes to Atma. So we just packing one into the other. So that we pack the whole thing into Prakriti and say, goodbye Prakriti, see you soon, I don't need you anymore. I am the Purusha. The moment you are there, what Patanjali says, you would be able to see, because you are the seer. The Prakriti layas and Vikriti. How the Prakriti comes and goes. Who is saying this? Bhagavan Krishna is saying this. But now, as Patanjali says, you can see it, which means you become parcel of Bhagavan. He says very interestingly, we're going to see that when we have, if God willing, we see the chapter 4. When the Prakriti goes in, see, the expansion of Prakriti into Vikriti. Vikriti means manifestation. Prakriti means unmanifestation. If you take a movie, screen, white screen is there, then the movie starts. Movie animates, you see the movie. A continuous stream, hero is chasing the heroine and fighting the villain. We see the whole movie. But okay, this is a digital movie, but you can go back to the film days. You know that continuous stream of movie that you have projected on the screen is a discrete piece of film. If you take one film, it'll be one frozen shot. The next film, the next frozen shot. Is it not? So therefore, our eyes can see 19 frames a second. Therefore, the projectors move in that speed, and therefore you feel that it is continuous. But it is discrete, mundane, inert piece of position. Now, what the scriptures say, this movie of life, the Jagat, is exactly that. It's a long movie running. But you are in this movie. I am in this movie. Though I can't really see it. But when I am able to step back, this is like fiction, right? Just take it as a story right now. Okay? When you're able to step back, you would see the Prakriti is Layam, and then it blossoms and it becomes a Prakriti. It goes to Layam, blossom, Prakriti. Like the heart pumping, expanding, pumping, expanding. The heart can never convolute into one single point. The singularity that physics is searching for can never be identified. Everything goes, at some point, it gets repelled back. Because no physical matter can go to the singularity. Now, the every evolute, therefore, is an instant of time. Time within the Prakriti. Now, you are outside this. You are now the Atma, Paramatma, Purusha. For you, it will be like one frame, one frame, one frame. This is called a Kshana. Kshana is the term to denote the indivisible unit of time. Buddhists hold on to this and therefore said, you are nothing but a Kshana, Kshana Purusha. Of course, there is Buddha and Gaudapada Gaudapada goes more deeper. It is, if there's a Kshana and Kshana, they are two different discrete ones. There must be a gap. There is no gap, it will be one big Kshana. The moment you say Kshana and Kshana, it cannot be the Brahman because Brahman is indivisible. If the Kshana abides in the Brahman. Therefore, if I need to be abide in the Brahman, what do? I have to be not in the Kshana 1, Akshana 2, or Kshana 3, but I need to be between Kshana 1 and Kshana 2, the gap. In other words, between every thought, a thought comes in, a thought goes in. Thought is a loga. Brahma's thought is this world. Your thought is your experiences. So every time you think, you create a world of experience for you. One kshanam comes in and it goes away. Kshanam, kshinam, it goes away. But it's a vritti. Another kshanam comes in. Now, apply the logic, therefore, between kshanam 1 and kshanam 2, there must be a gap. That means between thought 1 and thought 2, there must be a gap. So therefore, see, we do dhyanam. The dhyanam, we do this, the japamala. We go and buy 64, 108, 128. We have all this kind of a legacy behind the numbers. And that's fine. They all tell you to so that you start taking it up in hand. And then we do that. Why do we do that? Oh, it's counting easier. Because if I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, I can't do Gayatri mantra. I have this kind of pendant. I say, or Rama mantra. Rama, 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 Rama. So when I come to the pendant again, I know I finished 1. Okay, you can use it. But the Tattvartham is, every bead is a thought, a kshana. What we have to do is to move the bead so that we can get the gap between the bead. What is it? What is in between the bead? It's a sutra, the thread. So therefore, by doing that, even though I use the word Rama, you will see in later when you go to the dhyana part of the Patanjali Sutra, we move away from the Rama, the word Rama, the picture, to the Rama. We do Virama. We give away freedom. We go and look for the own self. But how does this thing move? It's called Krama. Krama is, we say, Ritam Vadishyami, Satyam Vadishyami. That rhythm is a Krama. The order in which the Prakriti moves Kshanam after Kshanam after Kshanam. It's called Krama. So if I am able to transcend the space and time, the Kshana and Krama. So therefore, I think this is why in Yoga Vasishtam, in some of the Puranas, there are stories, if I am able to discreetly find out, like, what you do in a film editor. Director says, yeah, I saw that and that duet song is not good at all. It takes too long. Can you cut it and then move this scene? He said, no problem, sir. He goes there, take the film, cut back. So you're going to stitch back the Kshana. The yogis are able to do it. So the time machines, all this we talk about, realigning this Kshanam, it's all there in this. Because after all, it is material evolutes. Very difficult to comprehend, right? But don't discard them, but take them as a beautiful story. Like, when a child is hearing a story, the story is the imparting the insight. Okay, I'm just digressing too much on it, but yeah. So we are talking about Samadhi. So this Samadhi is not the goal. Samadhi is what we obtain when you do this yoga abhyasa. He's going to talk about Ashtanga Yoga. Yama, Niyama, Pratyagara, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyagara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. We'll see them later. But here we remember we said we need to control our rajas and tamas. I can't sit to a dhyana. What I suggest you take now, whenever I say Samadhi for the next few classes, you take it as a dhyana. Many of us used to complain. I used to complain also. If I sit in the dhyana, I can't do. I have so many thoughts coming into my mind. I go to the guru and I say, look, I just can't do dhyana. What do I do? Well, you are wrong, because dhyanam means that you are fighting to bring your mind to which you want to keep your mind in. So if you are completely in the thought that you want to be in, you are not in dhyana, you are in samadhi. So dhyana means whatever you want to concentrate on is there, but whatever you don't want also comes. So therefore the exercise is, whenever it comes, you shun them away. That whole exercise is called dhyana. So therefore don't complain that, don't have an excuse that I can't do dhyana because whenever I sit, other thought come. Other thought should come. That's what dhyana is. But only the other thought comes, the main thought doesn't come, then that is not dhyana. Or if you start sleeping, that's not dhyana. So you can take samadhi to be dhyana. So we are actually learning about how to do dhyana. So we saw in the 5th sutra when he explained the state of mind to start the yoga. Kshipta state is not good. That your mind is really active and wandering around. Sometimes we need to be there because we are very busy. We are taking a job, we are taking an obligation to society, and we need to work a lot of things. You will have some stage, you can still be in samadhi and do all the work. You will learn about that. But here, for ordinary people like you and me, Kshipta state is a scattered mind state. I'll be there in the state for some time. I won't do any dhyana, so I leave that. But I try to minimize it by controlling the rajas and tamas, by applying abhyasa and vairagya. The Muda state is the state where tamasic guna is predominant sleepy, slumber, laziness, inertia. When the body needs such a rest, forget it, leave it. Don't toil with or if somebody is grieving, you don't go. If somebody is dead or something, or Corona's case, and you don't go and teach them Vedanta. See, life is material. They will get stuffed. The mind cannot accept it. So let them grieve. Tamas. But at there's some stage, there's a vikshipta. The Rajas and Tamas are there, but Sattvic is coming. Whenever there is action coming, you have to think, well, I'll take it easy. Or when the grief comes in, they shall pass. So when that kind of an overriding, not powerful enough yet, but overriding good thought comes in, sattva is rising, that's a time that we can think this is a good time to sit and do dhyana. So from there we move. In fact, Patanjali doesn't even include that. Patanjali only talk about ekagra niruddha. But others are compassionate and say, okay, if you can also start dhyana when you are sattvic in nature, even though you have rajasic. So now we know Abhyasa Vairagyam, you know when to sit on dhyana. Now we need to know the term Samadhi itself. So Patanjali says you will attain what's called a Samprajnata Samadhi. These are all very technical terms. At least there are 10, 12 different terms he is using for Samadhi. There are a lot of people who have written very different ways of this. But I just follow what Subhash Subramanian says, and therefore I try to give you a sense of approach to this so that it is not overbearing. Because this is not our goal. This will be a quality that we'll acquire, God willing. So what is Samprajnata Samadhi? Samprajna. Sam means well, perfect. Pra means predominantly, fully expanded. Jna means knowledge. So Samprajna means whatever you are focusing on, it may be your love, it may be your job, it may be the God, it may be yourself, doesn't matter. Right now we take it. What you are contemplating on, only that, Samprajna, that itself is fully occupying your mind. Then you may say, look, that happens to me many times. When I read the book, I'm completely involved and the telephone rang. Sorry, I didn't pick up the phone. The house is on the fire. I'm sorry, I was engrossed. You are in a Ekagra stage. You are, in a way, in a Samprajnata Samadhi. Do you understand? So therefore, you don't need to really complicate this. It's very, when the thought that you need to hold on to it is predominantly in you. Obviously, that means your mind is in Ekagra stage. Obviously, you have Vairagyam. What is Vairagyam? Focused dispassion. You are focused on this, you're dispassionate about everything else. Now, this is a skill every successful person in the world should have, must have. So, those youngsters amongst us who are still employed, working, studying, even ourselves, who's leading life with many different obstacles and ordeals, we need to be ekagram in whatever we do. But here, in a spiritual parlance, we are talking about the object of contemplation is not the job or whatever I'm looking for in this world, but something beyond. Therefore, the quality of Samprajna Samadhi and the benefit of it expands in infinite case. Then it leads to an Asamprajnata Samadhi. Well, this is unfortunate the way that you interpret that, because when you add a in front of a word in Sanskrit, it is the antonym, the negative negation of that. It does not mean imperfect, ill-conceived. No, it says a not asamprajñana samadhi. You can read like not samprajñana samadhi is asamprajñana samadhi. What does it mean? It means in asamprajñana samadhi, I need an object of contemplation. In asamprajñana samadhi, I am in samadhi. I have no object to contemplate. That means I am existing in a tranquil, truth-bearing mind with equipoise. It is also called Sahaja Samadhi. See, if somebody came to Bhagavan Ramana and he was waiting. So my father has told me this. He was sitting there. This person was waiting for a long time. And then he has asked this manager there, when does Swami will go to Samadhi? Because for him, the Samadhi is the trance. He has seen Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So he is just going to see Ambal and see Bhagavati and Kali. And then his body just shakes and then he falls down. He breaks his arms, everything. So therefore, people think that's Samadhi. It is a trance, it is a Samadhi. But that comes on to that person for whatever the trace of gunas make them do. So when you are out of that samadhi, or you're not having a tranquil, truth-bearing mind, if it is a case, it's like any asuras who go and meditate, do tapas. They are in tapas, 1,000 years they tapas. Bahasuran do 1,000 years tapas, ekagram. And then when God comes in front of him, he asks them, okay, whoever I touches should go into ashes. So be it. God says, because whatever he wants, you'll get it. But then he goes after the giver to put his hand on Lord Shiva. Why? Because his mind is not pure. So his tranquil and truth-bearing mind did not exist after that state of samadhi. So he has not achieved a samprajñana samadhi. He had a samprajñana samadhi. That means you can achieve the great benefits of boons and all this power in samprajñana samadhi. But the transcendence to samprajñana samadhi is only when you have the spiritual jnana. Let's see how much time I have. Okay, maybe it's a good time to close it here. Now this transition, probably I will take in the next class also, just talk about it a little bit, because I need to connect this to the Vedanta. So this transition between samprajñana samadhi to samprajñana samadhi, Patanjali uses another phrase, later it will come, called dharma mega samadhi. So don't think as another, some people say it's another state of samadhi. No, it's not. Dharma mega means, mega means the cloud. Dharma denotes the virtuousness, purity. The dharma mega cloud, what does it do? It just wanders around, just sports. Wherever it is, it sports dharma. So the state of this being becomes full of virtues. So when you are in samprajñana samadhi, whether you are meditating or you are in the Vivekara world, but when you are full of virtues, when you have the paravairagyam, what is paravairagyam? Remember that? Aparavairagyam means, remember that we said two things to differentiate. Nimittam and Vishayam. Nimittam is a reason, Vishayam means a domain. If you have vairagyam on something, because that something is impermanent in the world. That is apara vairagya. The nimittam is vishaya mityatva. Para vairagyam, what is the nimittam? Atma jnanam, tattvamasi, aham brahmasmi. So because you have Atma Jnanam, we saw that in Tatparam, Purusha Kyadet, we saw that in the 16th Sutra. Because of Atma Jnanam, you attain Paravairagyam, and because of Paravairagyam, you get Asamprajna Samadhi. So remember, you do Yoga Abhyasam, you develop Abhyasam and Vairagyam. The Vairagyam becomes, what is the different stage of Vairagyam? Remember, you do the yatana. Yatana means you are really trying to be a good person. Then you go through different stages, come to Vashikara stage. That is Samprajnana Samadhi you attain. When you do this process, because your truth-bearing mind, in your mind, the Atma Darshanam happens, Sattvatkaram happens. You don't realize it, you don't capture it. But what happens to you, you develop an immense interest in listening to Vedantam. You have immense desire to be with satsang. You are attracted, like they say the example, the loving wife is, she's just waiting to embrace the husband who's on a travel. How much she's intensely longing for him. That way you long for the Atma Jnana. That means you have this Paravairagyam is starting. Then you develop, you hold on to it and learn this Atma Jnanam, and you Mithyatvam Nichayartham happen. Then Paravairagyam dawns. The Paravairagyam dawns, you attain Asamprajnana Samadhi. The Samadhi in which your truth-bearing mind is supremely immense. I can't explain. Nobody can explain. Do I stop there? Now, this is what we need to understand. So we will learn the next class how this Samadhi is reflected in Vedanta. And then by understanding it, we will come back to Patanjali's yoga, and we take this as an exercise or a lesson to do dhyana proper. So I just want to close it there now. Let's do the Shantipar. Om Ashuddhoma Satkamaya.
Satkamaya.
Amashoma Jyotirgamaya.
Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya.
Mrityoma Amrdam Gamaya.
Mrityoma Amardam Gamaya.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.